Well, welcome everyone to our Heat Team Partner Call. Today is Tuesday, April 14th, 2020, and we do these scheduled trainings on the second and fourth Tuesday of every month at this time. And my name is Carolyn Swanger. I live in Phoenix, Arizona, and I get the privilege of introducing Kathy Crockett, our speaker for the night. I have to tell you, though, that I was first introduced to Kathy when our company launched when the company launched their first DVD featuring real partners telling their story, and she was chosen to be one of those people in the video. Do you remember, Kathy, what it was? Juice Plus, the next best thing. You all have to check it out. It's a great video. I even still share it sometimes today. And what Kathy said on that video was, first of all, I just loved her enthusiasm, but it was the last line of the DVD that hit me, and I have repeated that line so many times since then. Kathy said, "I feel good, I feel safe that the most precious people in my life take Juice Plus." I mean, to me, that's amazing. Kathy, that hit my heart, and that is really true for all of us, why we share Juice Plus. You know, I also want to share with you guys that Kathy is also a brilliant person, and she has accomplished so much in her life. First of all, she's been with the Juice Plus company for 19 years, and she has achieved the second highest marketing director position in our company called the Presidential Marketing Director, and is also a 100 Club member. And she has received so many numerous awards with the company. I can't even tell them all to you right now. But what I do want to tell you about her current life is that she recently retired from a 22-year career as a university business professor. So this is where I think we're all going to really enjoy hearing your teaching skills today, Kathy. And she also is an author, and her third book is coming out this year, so I can't wait to see that. She is on the board of the wonderful Pure Hope Foundation that so many of us have contributed to. And so, Kathy, I just want to say that we are blessed to have you teaching us on our Heat Team training call today. So thank you, and I'm going to let you take it away from here.
Okay, well, thanks so much. It's really a privilege to get to be with all of you. I've been long admirers of your team, and when Nikki asked me, I was like, of course, I'd love to. So I thought I'd start just a little bit telling you about my story. Back in 2001, my daughter, who at the time was 18 months old, was really sick. One of those sick kids that you know about, allergies, asthma, if a germ got in Lubbock County, it would find its way to her lungs. And I was at a prayer group, and a mom just said in 10 seconds, she said, "Kathy, I'm so sorry Maddie's been sick. I don't know. There's this stuff called Juice Plus. It's blessed our family. Maybe it could help Maddie. I don't know. You might want to check it out." And that 10 seconds changed everything. And then pretty quick, Maddie got better. And I honestly thought the person who shared Juice Plus with me, who she connected me to, was a pharmaceutical rep. I had no idea that this was a thing that I could do. And one day she called me, she goes, "Kathy, you're the kind of person that you just tell everybody about stuff you like. And everybody's watched Maddie get better, and they've all signed up. And I'm feeling kind of guilty. Are you sure you don't want to do this with me?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? Do what with you?" I had no idea it was something I could do. And when she offered it to me, I was a little skeptical. Imagine that. I was a little skeptical. I was a business professor. I wasn't sure about one of those things, right? But it really made sense to me because I did love the product. This was only about 3 weeks after we had gotten started on it. And I said, "Well, I don't know. I'm so busy. I don't have time for one more thing." She goes, "Well, that's okay. It's just that I'm making all this money off of you, and I'm feeling kind of bad. And you've actually signed up enough people to come close to covering the cost of your product." And so that's when the business part of me kicked in. And I was like, okay, I'm no dummy. Obviously, I want credit for that, right? But my initial goal was simply to cover my cost. I didn't want to do anything else. I didn't have time for it. I didn't want to mess with it. And I told her I was not a very cooperative rep at the beginning. So if you have anybody who is not very cooperative, just be patient with them, because you never know when it might kind of click with them like it did with me. And so basically, once we got in the old school, it was called VF, it's the QSC now, I did cover my cost, and I was really excited about that. And then I was having so much fun sharing that I kept going. And the rest is kind of history, just like any business, it ebbs and flows. But we did achieve National Marketing Director, and now they have this new title of Presidential Marketing Director and 100 Club. And I'm just like, even when Carolyn was saying that, I was like, wow, what a journey. And so the reason I really wanted to share my story, well, first of all, we kind of always like to, but I want to go back to the very first person who told me about Juice Plus. I want to tell you a story about that because tonight we're going to be talking about social risk. And what better time to talk about this week when we have this blitz going on and we're reaching out to all these people to join our team. So that woman had actually been a Juice Plus rep, but because so many of her close friends gave her such a hard time about selling one of those things, she quit. She was a customer and always loved the product, so much so that in the room that I was in, where she told me about it in front of some other people, they were the very people that made fun of her. They were the very people that kind of teased her about it and gave her such a hard time that she quit. But I like to call it that she had courageous compassion for me and told me about Juice Plus anyway, in front of the very people that caused her to decide not to do it anymore. She could have been my sponsor. And even if you haven't been with Juice Plus very long, just the 5% that she would have earned on my team would have been an enormous amount of money every month for her. But because of her fear, and I think because of the social pressure, she stopped and missed out on perhaps a really cool thing. Now she's in a great place. She owns a really neat art studio. And so she's in a great place, it's a great fit for her. Yet I wonder if maybe if she could have pushed through some of that social pressure, some of that feeling of social risk, what might have been different. And so tonight, I just want to encourage you to pull out your servants' hearts, get them in action, and be brave about sharing with people because that 10 seconds changed everything for us. It changed Maddie's health. And then, as Carolyn mentioned, I was on this video. My husband never ate vegetables, and now he does, and his health is way better. It's had a remarkable effect on our health and the income we've earned. It's just been such a blessing, so much that we can be a part of meaningful things. So I would hate for you to miss out on that because of this social thing going on. So let's go back to this idea of social risk. So many of you know about risk because many of you, I'm sure, have life insurance, right? We know that there's a risk that, something might happen to us and we want to be prepared to take care of our families. So we buy life insurance. The only reason you buy life insurance is to try to, what we use, a big word here, I'll put on my professor hat, mitigate. Mitigate means lessen, right? So we want to mitigate risk. That's a very common business term. What can we do to mitigate risk in this, and this, right? So how do we mitigate risk? Well, as in our households, we have life insurance. We have health insurance. We have liability insurance. We have a homeowner's insurance. We have car insurance. We have all of these things that if you think about it, that's things that we do to reduce our risk. And so I often think that we do kind of talk about this in the Juice Plus world, but we never just come out right out and say, look, the reality is there is social risk in anything you do. Think about a young man trying to get his courage up to ask a young lady out on a date. That's social risk. Perhaps there's social risk in all kinds of things. But one thing I've noticed is that when I first started, before I became a rep with the business, I was telling everybody about it and I did not think twice about it. And the second I signed my application, all of a sudden, all these crazy thoughts came into my head like, oh no, or my friend's going to think I'm trying to make money off them. Or, ooh, I don't want to be a salesperson. Or, ooh, what are they going to say about me? Or what are they going to do? Or what are they going to, what are they going to think? All of a sudden, all these thoughts came to me. And I just want to encourage you, that's social risk. And so just like you mitigate social other types of risk, I think there's a way when we bring people onto our teams that we can help them with that and we can help ourselves with that. Even in the midst of this COVID-19 crisis, I've had people say, well, I don't want to take advantage of people. Everybody's losing their job and getting furloughed. And I don't want them to think I'm trying to take advantage of a situation that they could get sick and like feed on their fears. I've actually heard people struggle with that, and that's social risk. And so we have a great conversation, and I'm so excited that we have a fabulous tool. I don't know if you've seen Lisa and Craig Radisi's video on now is a great time to be sharing Juice Plus. If you don't have a link to that, get with Nikki, or I can get it to Nikki and she can get it out to y'all. It is so well done. And it would be a perfect thing to share with someone who might be struggling with that because they just share authentically from their heart of why it's a great time to share with people. And why would you, hold back your servant's heart? Why would you hold back your courageous compassion? just because there's a pandemic going on, right? And so that's a great thing to share. And there's no better time to share what we have. And I will tell you that when my daughter was so sick when she was younger, I would literally be crying myself to sleep every night because I was scared. I was worried. I didn't know if through the night we'd have to go to the ER because she wasn't breathing. We'd have to count her breaths and be worried about her oxygen and all that good stuff. And I was afraid. And every night I cried myself to sleep. I was exhausted. I was scared. There was so much uncertainty with her health. And it was awful. And it was just asthma and allergies, but it was awful. We couldn't really leave the house. She had fever most days of the week. I mean, it was really tough. And so I think about that now. Do I remember what that felt like? Because right now, there are people crying themselves to sleep every night. Maybe they're fearful a loved one has the virus. Maybe they're afraid of getting the virus because they still have to go to work. Maybe they're really scared because they just had their income cut in half and they don't know how they're going to pay their bills. Maybe they have an emergency fund. They've really worked hard to have some savings, but that's only going to last for a couple of months and the dates get them pushed further and further back before everything will open back up. There are people really, they're suffering. They're really upset. And so I just want to encourage you that we have something that can help them. And if you're sharing authentically from your heart, it is going to be a beautiful thing, whether they're interested or not. And I will tell you, I have shared with a lot of people in the last month, and I've gotten a lot of no's. And yes, Nikki probably never gets no's, but Kathy Crockett, who's a 100 Club member and a presidential marketing director, and all those other things that Carolyn kind of talked about, I get no's too. And I just want to encourage you that the only difference between where you are, whatever level you are, and the level that I'm in is that I have had more people tell me no. Now, I may have had a few more people tell me yes, or I found team members who went and got a few more people to say yes. But I'm just telling you, I did the same thing you do. I have a chicken list just like you do. I have the phone in my hand. I've typed out this carefully worded text trying to be as authentic and maybe a little winsome and maybe a little kind of funny and low pressure as I can. And right before I hit send, it's like I'm going to hyperventilate. It's like, okay, do I send this? What? Okay, I can send it. I'm going to send it. And just this morning, I did that. I mean, I know it's hilarious, but have you ever shared Juice Plus with your future in-laws, not wanting it to get weird or awkward, right? And they're really skeptical. And so it took a lot of courage for me to share with them. But you know what I did? And she did say this. She goes, Kathy, you know, we're actually not interested, but it means a lot that you'd share with us because I know your heart behind it is you just care about us and love us. And I did tell her in the text, I was like, look, it's not going to hurt my feelings. If you have to say no thanks, please just tell me. But I just could not share it with you. And so I just wanted to tell you guys that I get it. I get it when that social risk is kind of getting to you. And you're just wondering, okay, how's this going to go? What are they going to think? And I just want to encourage you that if you are authentically you, don't try to be somebody else. Don't try to feel like you have to channel or pretend to be someone you're not. I even had someone that was on my chicken list for quite a while. We were on the school board together, and he was an orthopedic surgeon. No pressure, right? Orthopedic surgeon. And so, but he was also training for a marathon. And he would literally bring about half a gallon of Diet Coke to our school board meetings. And I would be like, this is awful. I just heard in my mind, I was talking to myself, right? Do you ever do that? Maybe it's just me too. But I'm like having this conversation with myself going, oh my word, he's training for a marathon and drinking half a gallon of Diet Coke all the time. And David Phillips just talked about people who are athletes doing this intense training, not getting enough nutrition. He's going to keel over in the middle of the race. And I did care about him. And so first time I kind of tried to bring it up, I said, hey, you're drinking a lot of Diet Coke. And he goes, oh, what are you, one of these people that thinks I'm going to die from Diet Coke? Are you one of those people that think sugar's bad? And I'm like, in my mind, I just kind of laughed and in my mind said, well, it's going to be a little while longer before he hears about Juice Plus because that just totally laid me flat, right? I'm like, oh my goodness, how do I even talk to him? But I did. And I just said, hey, I know this may sound crazy because I am not a doctor and you are, but I just heard this amazing speaker and he talked about people who were training and doing elite training like you and your wife are doing for this marathon. And I just wondered if you'd want to listen to it. Your son's also a collegiate athlete. And I just thought this research that's been published in the exercise sports science could be helpful. I only have one copy of this. If I brought it to your house, would you read it? And I can get it back in a couple of days. And he just looked at me. He goes, seriously? I said, I know. Would you just read the article? He goes, okay. And so he did. And now they're QNMDs on our team. I never in a million years thought that he would share it with patients. I never was going to suggest it, certainly, because I mean, this guy he's intense, but he's a good friend of mine and I cared about him and I just treated him as a person. And I just want to encourage you that you may get a ton of no's, but you are going to sleep so well at night knowing that you shared and knowing that you offered. And I also want to tell you a kind of a trend on my team. I don't know if it's a good one or not, but I mean, some of my biggest leaders, like Holly Morris, some of you may know her. She was a happy sales coordinator for probably 7 years before she chose to do anything with it, maybe longer. Another leg on our team that's an NMD, she literally was a rep for, I think, 12 years before she chose to do a whole lot with it. Another one was 7 years. Another one, even the orthopedic surgeon, they got on the product before and got overstocked. But when I circled back around to them years later, it had been, I think, 6 years since they've been first introduced to it. So sometimes you just have to wait for the right timing, but you want to be authentically you. And so this whole social risk idea, these new people that are coming on, we want to help them with that. And so if they're like, I know, but what are my friends going to think? I would encourage you to say, hey, I just want you to be you. And let's just talk about Sally Sue. What do you think would be authentic for her? Could you just say, hey, I found something that I think is going to bless our family. It's been a huge blessing to this friend of mine, and we're going to give it a try. And I just had you on my heart, and I just wondered if you might want to check it out. If you're not interested, totally okay. But I can't stop thinking about you, and I just feel like I'm supposed to share this with you. Would you be willing to check out the information and just let me know what you think? I mean, how authentic is that? You're telling them how much you care about them. You just want them to check it out. You're giving them permission to tell you no. And then just do a good job following up. And if they're ghosting you, or if they've gone into the witness protection program, or they're not getting back to you, after 2 or 3 times, you can just say, hey, I'm just wanting to try to do a really good job following up with everyone I've shared with. And if you're not interested, just put a thumbs down emoji and no worries. But if it really is just because you're busy and we just haven't had a chance to connect, let me know. I only need 2 or 3 minutes of your time. And then we can figure out if this might be a fit for you. And really keep it to 2 or 3 minutes, because if all you have to do is snag their information, it doesn't take that long. And often a mistake I was making kind of with this social risk is I kept saying, well, do you have any questions? Can I answer any questions for you? And they kept saying, well, no. Well, turns out they didn't have any questions. They were just waiting for me to ask them how to order. And so I would just encourage you, again, to be yourself. Our sun is setting, so sorry, my lighting's getting darker. But just be you and get that servant's heart in action. And I can promise you that as many no's as you get that might feel kind of hard, and they do stink. I'm telling you, I don't like getting no's either. And so be there for your team members when they might get those no's and say, hey, I get it. I wish that everybody could see what we see about this product, but for whatever reason, they just don't, but that's okay. Who else can we talk to? Who else could we talk to? And just keep sharing from your heart. Be authentically you. And when those creepy crawly thoughts creep into your mind of, oh, what are they going to think? Or I don't want to be a salesperson. So don't be. Just be you that's sharing. And I had one person in the whole history of me sharing that said, are you trying to sell me something, Kathy? And I was having so much fun. I said, I guess it is selling. I don't know. I'm just having so much fun sharing this information with people. One of my core values is sharing my blessings, and we have been so blessed by this stuff. It may sound crazy, but I love it. I love this stuff, and I can't help it. I just want you to know about it too, in case it could bless y'all like it's blessed us. And so I just try to keep it positive. I try to be as unoffendable as possible. And trust me, there have been times that my feelings have gotten hurt because some good friends have not acted very nice. And it's going to happen. But I hope that even when it happens, you can call your upline, you can call a sideline buddy, and you can process it. Because I promise you, there are so many people who need you to share with them. They are looking for things to help them, and you have something that can. So anyway, I hope that helps with social risk. I want us to be intentional to help people with it. Don't just say, well, you got to quit caring what people think. Well, you got to just get over it. And yes, that's true. But I would say, let's spend a little bit more time being uncomfortable with them and just care about them and say, hey, I get it. It kind of stings when that happens. But it's kind of like laundry. You love having a family, you love having clean clothes, but laundry's kind of a drag. And that's kind of what no's are. Those are just kind of part of the deal that we don't always like, but it's part of it and it's going to lead us to next things. And you never know when someone may come back around and say yes. They just may need more time. I actually had someone who came to me at like a baby shower or something. She said, "Hey, Kathy, I'm ready to go." I was like, "Oh, really? Like, where you want to go?" She's go, "No, I'm ready to get started." And I said, "Oh, really? Started on what?" I literally had no idea what she was talking about because it had been 7 years. And she goes, "I want to get started on Juice Plus." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Okay." I almost wanted to say, "You can't have it." Don't do that. That's not nice. But I said, "Oh, okay. Well, I'll text you later and we'll get you started." And she did. And she became a team member. I'm just telling you, you never know. So I do trust that if you're on Nikki's team, that you have servant hearts, that you love people, you have courageous compassion, and you've got great support to go do this thing. So go ask those people to join your team. The Blitz is the perfect time. Help them go ask their friend to go do it. And then it's just going to be a blessing, and you're going to be blessed too. So Nikki, then Carolyn, that's all I have, but I'm happy for questions or however y'all want to handle it at this point.
Wow, well, thank you so much, Kathy. You know, it was so interesting. I said to Kathy, we have a 30-minute call, and I forgot I was talking to a professor, and you know exactly how much time to leave and leave room for questions. And I know as I was reading the chat that so many people are just repeating some of those beautiful lines that you've been sharing with us. And I think the reason I picked the next best thing about you is because like I said, I felt you, and we're all feeling you tonight. So thank you so much, Kathy, for that. So, and I guess you're right. You know, we have like a good 7 or 8 minutes left. Is there anyone would like to have a question? Nikki, I don't know. Do we open it for questions or do they just type them in this chat?
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, Chris is going to show us how it's done.
Hi, Kathy.
Hey.
That was fantastic. Hey, as always, you know, you just have such great delivery, and obviously you come from the heart. So thank you. Why don't you take a minute or two and just talk about how you're handling this Come Join Us Blitz? You want to say a few words about that?
Sure. Well, just so you know, the company has never done this before. And basically what I'm telling my team members, and I'm like, guys, March was one of the biggest months for Juice Plus Company ever. I mean, ever. And they are wanting to share the abundance by allowing people today and tomorrow to sign up, and they're waiving the fee because they know that people need what we have, and they are trying to make it as accessible as possible. And so I always, when I tell people, and even people that I'm offering it to, I tell them, I said, "Hey, I don't know if you would be interested in this, but you've been a Raving Fan customer." Really, the Raving Fan customers are your best ideal prospects. They already know about the product, they've already purchased it, and you have 30 days to get them to QSC, right? So if you can, pick a Raving Fan customer as much as possible. Now, I've also reached out to people who have never even heard of Juice Plus before, hence the in-laws. They did say no, by the way, but it's not weird. So I succeeded. But what it said is, "Hey, I don't know if you'd be interested, but our company is offering something really special. And I just thought you might want to check out our products because you have an opportunity to join our team and join our mission and waive the fee." We've had our biggest month ever in March, because you want to say our company had the biggest month in March ever, or one of the biggest months ever, because you don't want them to assume that we're waiving the fee because we're like in dire straits and having to, you know, flash sale something, fire sale something. We want to make sure they fully understand it's all from the abundance of our company, and that they just take such great care of us, and they're wanting to help take care of so many people. So that's what I say. I just say, "Hey, no idea if you're interested. Our company had one of its biggest months ever in March, and they're wanting to share the abundance by offering the chance for you to sign up to join our team and waive the fee." They've even increased the bonus money available if you can get about 12 to 15 trio orders in 30 days. So that's kind of quick, but we've had people do it before. And so granted, this may be a series of short conversations. Sometimes people won't get on the phone with me, but they'll text me, and I kind of put a little bit of a curious bite out there, and then they kind of come back to me with another question. And then I'll say, "Yeah, they've never done it before." And then they'll say, "Well, what do I have to do?" Say, "Well, if you think you might know of some people who might like the product as much as you do." And often what we have found is some of the people who've signed up, they already said, "Well, yeah, my sister was actually asking me about it last week." And today, the person I signed up, she said, "This is so weird, Kathy, because you reached out to my sister and told her about this incentive, and I was about to text her anyway and sign up." And so when she texted me, I was like, "Okay, this is a no-brainer. Oh my goodness, how awesome is this?" So Sorry, I'm getting so dark. This is hilarious how dark it's getting all of a sudden. But I think it's important to be authentically you. I think it's important. I love the phrases that I've heard many people use in the past saying, I don't know if this is for you, but I could not share it with you. That gives them permission to say no. And another term I've heard used lately, which is kind of funny, is if you ever watch Master Class, it's this thing, Chris Voss is a hostage negotiator. And so I got this verbiage from him. But he says, you're not going for them to say yes to you. You actually want them to tell you no. So this is how you ask the question. He said, would it be ridiculous for me to think you might be open to doing this with me? Would it be ridiculous for you maybe to check out Juice Plus? I know you're like a nutritionist and I'm not. I actually said this to a registered dietitian. I said, I feel kind of ridiculous asking you this, or I feel kind of funny asking you this. Would it be ridiculous for me to ask you to check out Juice Plus, knowing that you're the professional here and I'm not? And she said yes, and she checked it out. He said there's psychologically something to that. So if there's someone you're really afraid of, like the orthopedic surgeon, I could have said, is it ridiculous for me to ask you to check out a product that can help your health, even though I'm not a doctor and you are? Try to kind of be playful, but I will say be intentional. But we are going crazy here. I have not had more fun in a really long time having conversations with people. And we're going to get a lot of no's right now, but I believe we're going to get yeses next month or in the next month because they're going to think about it. So I'm excited.
Thank you. That was great.
That was exactly the kind of tip I knew you'd be able to offer us with all the education you've had around leadership and social risking skill. I love that. I love being playful. I love saying that. You know, you might just think I'm crazy about this. Sometimes they'll say, you know, you just must think I'm crazy. I'm going to ask you to take a leap of faith. And it always, somehow it does, like when I ask people to come to conference that know nothing, I just go, I'm going to go out on a limb and be absolutely ridiculously crazy right now. Are you open to hearing what I have to say? And they always are open to hearing it when you play with them.
Well, and one thing I tell my reps a lot is I'm like, hey, I have a crazy idea. And this is totally a want to, not a have to. I don't have any expectation that you have to. So just know that it's okay if you're not in a good place. And I also want to say, we've tried to be very mindful about people feeling overwhelmed with the virus. And if there are people who truly are just overwhelmed with homeschooling, they just can't think about one more thing. We love them well. Everybody's brains are different. And so we want to honor that. And so if someone just is overwhelmed and just can't, we don't want to make them feel bad or shamed or you're crazy for not taking advantage of this. We want to say, you know what, that's okay. That's the beauty of our company, is that this is customized to you. And if this isn't a good time, as awesome as an opportunity as this is, it's okay. We're still here for you and we will support you when it's a good time for you. And then you go on to the next person that it might be a good time for.
Well, Kathy, I got to say, this has been quite amazing. I think on my walk tomorrow, I'm going to have to replay this recording. Nikki, you have to upload it to tonight, okay? Because what I'm enjoying, and as I read the chat, you don't get a chance to just see, you know, it's an amazing call. That's so true. That's so true. I love Kathy's playfulness. I mean, the way things just roll off your tongue, it's very obvious why you're a 100 Club member, because you know what you're talking about and you have a servant's heart, like you said. And so thank you so much for sharing that with us. So I think what we're going to do is going to wrap up. This is really where we all say thank you to you. And before we do, and before Nikki unmutes, just a reminder that Nikki would like to stay on after the call, after we're done recording the call, so that she can answer any Blitz questions. Is that for your team only, Nikki, or for anybody
No,
else?
anybody that wants to stay on, that wants to hear more about Handle the Blitz and what's been happening. I've been on the Blitz all day long. So I don't be sharing with you. Yeah.
So
Kathy, thank you so much.
Yes, and your call was just perfect because of the Blitz. So many lines I couldn't write fast enough. I'm so glad this is recorded. And I know everybody else is feeling the same way. So Nikki, you're in charge of unmuting us all to say thank you to Kathy before you stop it.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thanks, Kathy.
Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you
So much. That was perfect.
So awesome.
Incredible, Kathy. Thank you.